Hello and welcome to Mystical Adventures. My name is Anne. I'm so delighted you've joined me today. Welcome. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we've just switched to spring. Are you feeling the shift in energy? We have been in a cycle of inner reflection, many of us, and a different cycle of social reflection and even isolation, solitude. And with the vaccine being disseminated, many of us are shifting to a new cycle of outward experience and expressing our social selves in a more outward way. This is also a natural time in the seasons when nature is shifting to life, shifting to things blooming and plants growing. So we're going to be talking about today polarities. And speaking of inner and outer, speaking of the difference between the yin and the yang, the growing season, the fallow season, all of these polarities, we're going to be exploring the idea of polarities in yourself today, polarities in your mind, body, spirit, and the importance of integrating and balancing the different polarities within you. I also just want to make a couple of quick reminder announcements. I have a few guided meditations on my YouTube channel. Check them out. I've got creative visualization, shape-shifting, and expanding your circle of friends and community, all guided meditations I have created and produced myself. Most of the music is by me, and the narration is by me. So check out those guided meditations. My YouTube channel is called Creative Psyche Studio. There's links on my Facebook page, which is also Creative Psyche Studio. And I also post them on my website, creativepsychestudio.com. I also want to remind you, don't forget to tune in April 20th. My friend and very gifted Ayurvedic practitioner, Lorraine Kannada, is going to be joining us. She's going to be talking about some principles in Ayurveda, an introduction to what Ayurvedic healing is, and teaching us some breathwork techniques in that beautiful system. I cannot wait to get my breathwork on because the breath is a very powerful tool for consciousness, for coping, for healing. So don't miss that. Before we get to talking about polarities and what the heck I'm talking about with this whole polarity yin yang idea, let me share with you the spirit helper of the week. Every week I tune in. I open myself to higher consciousness, ascended masters, animal spirits, angels, other higher consciousness entities and beings, and I tell you the message that I received from the higher consciousness being who came to me. So this week, it is a spirit animal. It is the hawk spirit animal. So for the week of March 23rd, 2021, hawk spirit animal has bestowed us with a message. And the hawk spirit animal is associated with messages, important messages, vision, prophecy, perspective. So these are things that might come up today or this week. You might receive important messages. You might be in a position of giving or receiving important messages. You might be emphasizing your clairvoyance, your vision or planning for a project or the future, or your dreams or desires, having some big perspective in your life, seeing things in a long distance view. Hawk is great for helping us with all of these. So here's the message that Hawk has communicated for this week ahead. Behold, the world is great. The world is vast. The skies open their arms for you to soar. The grass is beneath you, but it is not that far away. The grass, the ground, and the sky, the universe are all one. Your arms stretch wide, embracing the wind. Surf along the currents of air. It is time to take your ideas and let them expand. Allow your ideas to take flight and create a world of their own. I am the messenger of the sky, and I bestow important messages upon you, but you must be open and willing to receive. This is a time to let yourself be free. Let yourself explore, play, and discover new things about yourself and the world. Embrace the wholeness of the universe and see how you are a part of it. Allow yourself to break free from the old rhythms and cycles and try something new. Courage is as natural as the wind on my wings. Use your courageous heart to allow yourself to fly free and find new worlds within you and around you. Thank you for being patient. Slight technical moment. Thank you for your patience. Thank you, Hawk, spirit animal, for bestowing us with that message. I want to read a certain part to you again. This is a time to let yourself be free. Let yourself explore, play, and discover new things about yourself and the world. We are in the time of Aries, and this is a time of expanding your horizons, of trying new things, of being courageous and taking risks and opening yourself up to new experiences, being playful. So polarity is something that's naturally emphasized at this time of year because astrologically we're exploring the polarity of Aries, Libra. The new moon is in Aries, the full moon is in Libra. And so the polarity explored there has to do with Aries and Libra, which rules masculine and feminine. Also the self versus others. It's exploring several polarities about masculine and feminine. We're going to be exploring polarities today, the concept of polarity and how to balance not just masculine and feminine, but in general polarities. I wore my Yin Yang. It's not exactly Yin Yang. It's a Yin Yang gestured piece of jewelry that was a gift. And I think I have, yes, an actual Yin Yang here. I'm going to hold it up to the camera and let's see what happens. So this is an actual Yin Yang. If you're listening to this and not viewing it, you probably know what this looks like. It's showing how two opposites connect in unity with the black and white and that swirl and the little white circle and the black circle. And it's a concept that you find in Asian philosophies and spiritual tradition and thought. The I Ching, which is an Asian book of divination and spiritual, mystical ideas and philosophies, as well as the Tao Te Ching, the Taoist texts exploring different concepts and ideas in that mystical Asian system. Both of those systems explore very much the idea of polarity and the concept of how opposites are a natural part of the universe, and the idea that integrating and synthesizing them is a higher spiritual ideal. The Kabbalion, you've heard me refer to if you've been listening to my show, the ancient Hermetic texts, ancient mystical Western texts, talks about polarity as one of the principles of the universe, one of the laws of the universe. This is a quote from the Kabbalion. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. All paradoxes may be reconciled. The Kabbalion is also, this Hermetic philosophy is also talking about opposites as part of our reality, in this time-space reality, opposites as part of universal law, and how part of the idea behind polarities is there's really no polarities. There's, on a higher level of consciousness, there's integration, there's wholeness. And polarities are opposites identical in nature, but different in degree. So I'm tripping you out here. Maybe I'm blowing your mind, but I think this is such a liberating idea, don't you? That we all have these opposites in us. We all have these opposites in our life, these polarities within everything. And to see that as natural and to look at how can I, instead of resisting that, learn to appreciate and integrate. In psychosynthesis, psycho-spiritual form of self-development developed by a colleague, a contemporary of Carl Jung, an Italian psychiatrist named Robert Assagioli. I got to be careful how I say that name so we don't say a bad word on the air. Robert Assagioli, he came up with this philosophy on self-development that really also emphasizes the polarities in our psyche, the masculine, feminine, and different polarities beyond masculine and feminine, different polarities of the personality. I'm going to read a few different descriptions of yin yang or feminine masculine abstract qualities. And I want you to just, as I read this, listen to and think about where you are on this scale of polarity. A yin yang polarity of love and will, of emotion and mind, of nonlinear, holistic versus linear, analytic, empathy versus discernment, detachment versus commitment, spontaneity versus control. These are all examples of qualities on the poles of feminine, masculine, abstract feminine and masculine. I'm not saying women and men, but the abstract feminine and masculine qualities of consciousness. And it can be really helpful to think about, where are you in the yin-yang balance? Where is your masculine, expressing masculine abstractly is logic and action, leadership. Again, I'm not trying to say women are not great leaders or logical, but I'm talking about abstractly. We all have inner masculine and feminine. So the masculine expresses some of those qualities. The masculine is more linear and logical and planned and ordered. So the feminine is the nonlinear, the intuitive, the emotional, seeing the whole, the receptivity, your inner life, your family. Masculine is outer life, career. So where are you in the balance of masculine and feminine? It might be helpful to ask yourself, where do you have more energy in your personality? Where do you have more energy? Is there a balance of energy in these areas in your life? Do you need to emphasize certain yin or feminine qualities or certain masculine qualities to balance out your psyche, to balance out your life? And the key here is balance. The key here is integration. So how can you not pathologize, not judge the masculine or the feminine, but how can you integrate it? And if you decide that perhaps I could use more planning, let's say, perhaps I could use more structure, and I'm very imaginative, but I realize that I could use a little bit more logic and planning and will. Like the hawk spirits animal can help you with that planning and coming up with a vision, coming up with a long-term plan. Then what baby steps could you take? You might want to work with a coach. You might want to read a book on planning goals, organizing. You might want to get a planner or an app that helps you to plan goals. So think about what baby steps you can take. You don't want to push yourself too hard, of course. And this can help you to bring up those qualities in your psyche that perhaps aren't emphasized and would really help you to live a more expanded version of your life. We need both the masculine and the feminine. We need that nurturing. We need that structure. We need our intuition and our imagination, but we also need our logical mind, and we need to be able to have boundaries and limits. And part of our mind is limitless, but we're in the reality of this time-space continuum, and we need our ego and this body in order to live this humanly life. Speaking of messages, it looks like I might be getting a message from my producer that we have a caller. Fabulous. Let us shift gears, everyone, to taking a call. I am delighted to have Holly from Lake Charles, Louisiana on the line. Hi, Holly. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
So this is Anne Vivian speaking, and we're talking about polarities tonight, masculine, feminine. And I'm just getting a feeling, Holly, that you have a pretty strong masculine side, might have a strong mind, or be a good leader, or any of those masculine qualities, just as we're connecting. Where would you say that you are on the polarity of mind and emotion?
I wouldn't think that I really have a very masculine side to me. Maybe I do within, and I'm kind of non-confrontational, very, very just laid back, self-spoken.
Well, those are, feminine qualities. Would you say you have a strong mind, though?
I would say I have a very strong mind.
Well, that's really what I'm talking about. That's really what I'm saying is.
Yeah, I have a very strong mind.
Yes, that mind is what I'm tuning into, and that's actually abstractly a masculine quality. And it's a beautiful strength to have. It sounds like you have strong masculine and feminine because you have that other soft, receptive, feminine part to you.
Yes.
So, Holly, how can I help you tonight? Do you have a specific question? You want a general reading?
Yes, ma'am. This has been just probably the worst year of my life. I'm trying to move on with my life right now, and I'm just not really sure which direction I'm supposed to be going in.
I see. Well, let me just tune into your energy, Holly. Just a moment of silence. Well, I'm feeling as I tune into your energy, Holly, I see this image of an alligator, and I feel like it's talking to me about you're scared. You're scared to move forward. You feel a lot of fear right now, and to me the alligator, and you'll have alligators down in Louisiana, don't you? And
yes,
to
we
me,
do.
the alligator represents also this maybe past that you have of feeling judged, feeling like you, not that you are a failure, but feeling like maybe you had some failures or some things that didn't go well that you felt judged for. And that I feel like that's strong in your energy field right now is the, when you think about moving forward, being fearful about making a mistake in the past and not wanting to experience some things that you experienced in the past.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, you said you're very feminine, but you have a strong mind. I feel a really strong energy, Holly. I feel like you have a really strong will, and even though you might be very receptive and sweet and soft-spoken, I feel like, once you make up your mind, you are a force to be reckoned with, and that you have a very giving, loving heart. And I feel like, you want to build the right next chapter and build it correctly with good roots is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And so
my
you're
husband
using,
just left me after 25 years in marriage, so this has been,
sorry.
and then my brother passed away earlier this year too. So this has just been, and I guess I'm having a hard time letting go of the marriage.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, I need to move on from it, or if, because I'm just having, I am just having a really hard time letting go of it. But, once I get it in my mind that I'm ready to let go of it, I think that once I come to a point to where I know that I'm ready, that I'm going to do this, I'm done. Like you said.
I think that might be, what I was picking up with the alligator and that fear of moving forward and the failure, of this marriage that is really difficult for you to, it's really difficult for you to see past that right now. But I feel like once you do, you have such a strong spirit. And once you, like you said, once you make up your mind, then there's no stopping you.
Right.
So I pulled a few cards. Holly, you've had a lot of losses this year, death and divorce, and it's just been a really hard year. And, being able to just recognize that and be loving to yourself, I think is, one of the first steps. So I pulled a few cards. I feel like the first card is the King of Swords, and it's saying, this might be referring to your husband. I think there is some ambiguity on his side too, and I think that maybe makes it worse that there's still care there, but it's also really hard to move forward when you're stuck in the past. And I feel like there may be some judgment there. You don't like being seen in a certain way that you feel or felt judged lately. And this is part of the problem too. And you need to be able to see yourself, Holly, as the powerful, magnetic, beautiful person you are. And you're struggling with that. And I feel like it is related to this time in the marriage. If you can disconnect from your husband and just treat yourself like a queen, my friend, take yourself on a trip, go to the spa or whatever is a treat for you. Go to the concert, take yourself out on a date, do something to show yourself you love yourself, and try and get some of your mojo back, girl. Get some of your power back. Try and find some time for reflection and solitude. Disconnect from him in the marriage and really try and reflect on what it is you want. Tune into your own energy. And when you can get in touch with that will, I think it's going to help you move forward in leaps and bounds. And there's no stopping you, Holly. I feel like when you make up your mind to follow your dreams, then I think, you're going to have a beautiful new chapter here and you're going to have lots of victories. I pulled the Chariot card for the final result, which is a card of victory. So, but I feel like the key is allowing yourself to grieve, allowing yourself to disconnect and claiming your own power back. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you feeling judged or like you weren't seen in a loving way?
I felt like there was a lot of judgment coming from him,
Yeah.
And maybe there's a lot of self-judgment too, maybe there's a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda, a lot of, or maybe if I would have done this differently, if I would have done that differently, then he wouldn't have left,
And I think that's what's
Nah.
holding you back. It's possible, as I'm tuning into you intuitively, it's possible that is a really big chunk of what's holding you back. Not only the regrets about the marriage ending and could this have worked out, but your own mistakes and your own sense of your own failure. If you can switch that and not view it so much as a failure, but view it as I did the best I could and I'm learning from it and I'm still lovable and I am a beautiful, resilient, empowered, magical being, and claim your own power again, I think you're going to find that it's easier to shift gears, but finding some way to let go and forgive yourself, Holly, to forgive him, but forgive yourself.
Yeah.
So we are coming to the end of the show, but I so appreciate you calling in, my friend. I hope that was helpful.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care, Holly.
You too.
Bye. I want to thank everyone for tuning into Mystical Adventures today. It has been a mystical adventure to connect with you. And don't forget to tune in April 20th for Lorraine Kanata, Ayurvedic practitioner. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel with those guided visualizations, Creative Psyche Studio. Have a beautiful, blessed spring or fall if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. And I will see you next show. Take care. Blessings.